Hey everybody, welcome to the Period Yogi. Today we have a class for phase 4 of your cycle. That's your luteal phase. It's the longest phase in your cycle, and I like to call it a mixed bag because beginning a luteal phase, you're coming off ovulation, your hormones are still high, you're feeling good, lots of energy, and then as you start to get towards that latter end of the luteal phase, when you're approaching your period, things might be totally different. You might have some bloating, some cramping, some discomfort happening. So today's class is pretty mellow. It's going to be good for all parts of your luteal phase. We're going to keep it, nice and chill. So just one prop needed. It's the mini roll, the famous mini roll. If you haven't been in the previous classes, this is just a hand towel. It's folded in half long ways, rolled up, and secured with 2 rubber bands on either end. Pretty low tech. So just have that, toss it off to the side, and we're going to start in child's pose. We'll do a little arm variation here to open up through the shoulders. So just come on out, bring the knees wide, about as wide as your mat, big toes together. We'll bring the chest forward, and we'll kind of come into this cross of the arms. So you can bring your right arm on top, and then we'll reach them out to the sides. I'm actually going to use my mini roll as a rest for my head here. So it's a little hard to arrange, but do your best to get that in position if you're using it. And just kind of shimmy the arms out to the side, and then find a place where you can relax for a few breaths. And always in those first few breaths of the pose, I just kind of check in and see, is there something else I can do to make this more comfortable? Is there something else I could do to make this so that I could release a little bit more? And just kind of go through that little, mental check and see if there is anything else that you can do so that you can relax more deeply. And then kind of check in with your breath. Notice what is your breathing pattern right now. It's probably, if you're not paying attention to it, pretty shallow. It's usually the case. So gradually, just start to take some deeper breaths. You don't have to go to from 0 to 100. Just slowly build on it. Okay, let's creep our way up just enough to swap these arms out. Switch it. Reach them out to the sides. Your palms are facing up towards the ceiling. And then rest your head down on whatever it's making contact with. We'll get right back into that, sort of enhancing the quality of the breath. So just smoothing it out, lengthening it. And just take a second to check in and see, what does your body feel like today? What do you need more of? What do you need less of? Good. Let's make our way out of here slowly. Release the arms. Toss the roll off to the side. We'll make our way out to a tabletop. Walk the knees in a little closer. And let's just release the legs before we move on. So extend your left leg out behind, curl the toes under, and drop back into the heel. Just take a breath or two there. And then we'll bring that left knee in and switch it out. Just to release that child's pose. All right, let's come back into a tabletop position. And we're going to do a little cat-cow child's flow. So we'll inhale, sort of arch the back, look forward, and then as you exhale, I'm going to curl the toes under, keep them curled under, round your back a bunch, drop your hips to your heels. That's all on the exhale. And then we'll inhale, come forward, drop the belly, lift the gaze, and then exhale, round, and drop back. And depending on what your feet are feeling, it may feel uncomfortable to have the toes curled under like this, but if you can stick with it, because it's really great for the feet to stretch them out. Sometimes we wear shoes that aren't so great for our feet. So doing things like this to counter that is really beneficial. There's also a lot of really interesting acupressure points in your feet that can be stimulated this way. Let's do another round here. Round, drop it back. Good. Bring it back to tabletop. And now we can release the feet. Give them a little wiggle. We're going to come into some hip circles now. So everybody's look a little different. You just got to make these your own. So we'll drop the hips over to the right, circle them back to the heels, over to the left, and then forward. So just really let go of what this looks like or doesn't look like, and just go with what it feels like. And you might find spots that you want to hang out in a little extra, get an extra stretch. Let's reverse directions. We'll go the other way. We'll do a couple more circles. Let's make our way back to that tabletop. Nice. We're going to come into pigeon from here. So you're just going to kind of sweep your right knee forward in between your hands. Have that mini roll nearby because we're going to use it in pigeon. So I'm going to bring my right knee up. And then before I get too settled in, I'm going to grab this mini roll. I'm going to wedge it right in the right hip crease. Just get it up there as far as you can. And then I'll walk the left leg back a little bit more. So now I'm already feeling that compression right there, which is good. It's what we're going for. Because when you compress, you're sort of flushing the area out. And then when you release, all this nice new blood's coming back into the area. So it's a nice thing to do. All right, from here, you might come forward more. You might have more props that you want to bring in here so that you can be up on a bolster or something relaxing and fun. You can also bring a blanket or a pillow under your right hip if you like that extra support. So just go ahead and grab the extra things that you might need. Maybe you don't need any extra things. Come forward and we'll take, about 5 breaths or so. And just notice the difference of regular pigeon versus pigeon with this, mini roll. It's different. And sometimes it can take a little bit of getting used to feeling that, compression. But just stick with it. Super beneficial. And see if there's anything that you can relax a little bit more. We carry so much in our hips. Our lives, unfortunately, consist of a lot of sitting, required sitting. So spending time to open these tight areas, just your body will thank you. We'll take a couple more breaths. ahead and walk your way up, nice and slow. We're going to kind of sit off onto that right hip so that we can swing this back leg forward and out to the side. So I'm just going to give it a little help, bring it out to the side. So right leg's in, left leg's out to the side. All we're going to do is just come forward a little, maybe a lot. We get a nice stretch to the inner left thigh. Just nice and easy. You don't have to go to 100% here. Stay in a comfortable 75% or so. All right, we'll walk that back in. And then I'll go ahead and release your left leg. Extend that out and just pause here for a second. Wiggle the legs. We'll get ready to do pigeon on the other side. Okay. So it's your left knee that's going to come forward. Get any of those extras that you might need. I've got my mini roll here. I'm going to wedge it in and then come forward. Kind of shimmy the right leg back a little more. And then decide if you want to stay up, come down, anywhere in between. And I always like to notice too what I feel side to side. Just interesting feedback on what's happening in your body. Maybe the other side was tighter, this one's looser, vice versa. So really allow yourself to soften through the abdomen. Allow your breath to be a little deeper than it normally would be. And then just kind of search for and find those areas that are working harder than they need to be. Take a couple more breaths. Okay, let's walk this back in, nice and slow. We'll help that back leg, the right leg, swing forward and out to the side. And then just like on the other side, we'll just walk the hands forward a bit. Nothing crazy. Just a nice little release through the inner leg here. Good. Then you can lift your chest back up. We'll extend left leg out, release. Let the knee breathe a sigh of relief. Good. Let's bring soles of the feet together in Baddha Konasana. If you like to sit up on something for this, you can go ahead and grab it. We're just going to finish up here with some motion through the pelvis, which is really great in all phases of your cycle, really. So bottoms of the feet together or close to. If you like a little extra support under the outer legs, you can go ahead and bring little towels or something underneath to support. But we'll do a little cat-cow here. So we'll inhale, bring the chest forward, and then exhale, round back. So it's going to be smaller than what you would normally do in tabletop. But I want you to mostly focus on the pelvis coming forward and back as opposed to how much can I move my spine. So just kind of rocking forward and back on the pelvis. Let's do a couple more rounds. Good. And just make your way out. Neutral. Go ahead and release the legs. Come into some comfortable seat, whatever works for you. And there you have it. Nice phase for the luteal portion of your cycle. Good for any time during that phase. 4 phases, all complete. Really great job. Hopefully, I'll see you over at theperiodyogi.com. Good job.